See, make I tell you something. So if cars come in different sizes, different shapes, different purposes, then it also means they have different engineerings to their functions. And that brings us to the different types of drivetrains found in cars. So I talked about them in my last video. It should pop up right here or here, I don't know. So you see, generally there are 4 types of drivetrains found in cars. And these are the front wheel drive, the rear wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and then all-wheel drive. So I'll make sure to break every type of drivetrain down in this video and talk about them and how they basically work and talk about their functions as well. So with that being said, let's get started. Number 1, front wheel drive. So the front wheel drive is the cheapest drivetrain on the list, and this is because it is more fuel efficient than the other drivetrains on the list. So when we say a vehicle is a front wheel drive, it simply means the drivetrain of that vehicle sends rotational force to only the front wheels of that particular car. So in layman terms, the drivetrain sends power to only the front wheels of that particular vehicle. And we all know in most cars, the front wheel is the closest to the engine. So that means the drivetrain, or let me say the power of the engine, will travel through a short distance to set the car in motion. Hence, that is why the front wheel drive is the cheapest, or let me say is the most fuel efficient on the list. And also, traction is much better in front wheel drive because the wheels tend to pull the vehicle instead of pushing it. But then the only downside is handling becomes quite challenging when you are bending a curve because the outer tires of the front wheel has to cover more distance, or let me say longer distance, as compared to the inner tires. Hence, bending a curve is quite challenging. Other than that, you should have a front wheel drive on the front wheel drive. Front wheel drives are normally found in saloon cars such as the Toyota Corolla, the Honda Civic, and many more. With that being said, let's move on to the rear wheel drives. Rear wheel drives. So this type of drivetrain is normally found in sports cars. From the name rear wheel drives, that means the drivetrain of that vehicle will send rotational force, or let me say power or energy, to the rear wheels of that particular car. And it is normally found in sports cars because the rear wheels tend to push the vehicle instead of pulling it. That means you'll be able to travel at a top speed without popping the wheel, unlike some front wheel drive sports vehicles. And this is also good for drifting. But then the only downside is rear wheel drive don't normally perform well in the rain, or let me say in the snow. And this is due to, of course, traction. Remember I said they tend to push the vehicle, so that makes handling quite challenging in the rain or snow. Other than that, you should be good with the rear wheel drive. So like I said, the rear wheel drive is normally found in sports cars such as the Mustang GT, Demon Dodge, and many sports cars. So now let's move on to the 4-wheel drive, normally known as 4x4. So this type of drivetrain is normally found in trucks that are used for off-road activities. So generally when we say a vehicle is a 4-wheel drive, it simply means the drivetrain of that vehicle sends rotational force, or let me say sends power to all 4 wheels, but not at the same time in most cases. Let me explain. For instance, when you are driving on a smooth surface, the drivetrain will only send power to the rear wheels. That is to conserve fuel, because when you are driving on a smooth surface, you won't need that much energy. But then if you are in off-road situations, then the drivetrain will send power to all 4 wheels, because of course in off-road situations you will need more energy for the tires or for the car to move. Hence, the drivetrain will send power to all 4 wheels. Normally, the 4-wheel drives are normally found in cars such as the Benz G-Wagon, Jeep, and many more. With that being said, let's move on to the last but not the least type of drivetrain, that is the all-wheel drive. So this particular type of drivetrain is normally found in SUVs and crossovers. This type of drivetrain is less fuel efficient than the other types of drivetrain on the list. And this is because the drivetrain of the all-wheel drive keeps on sending power to all 4 wheels of the vehicle constantly, non-stop, 24/7. Just think about it. So with the front wheel, rear wheel, and 4x4, the drivetrain will send power to the rear wheels or front wheels depending on the situation. But then with the all-wheel drive, the drivetrain will constantly send power to all 4 wheels non-stop. So that means you'll be buying fuel times 2 as opposed to the other drivetrains. So with the drivetrain sending power to all 4 wheels, that gives room for better traction, better handling, and overall better stability when you are driving through mud, through rain, through snow, or even when you decide to fly. So like I said, the all-wheel drive is normally found in crossovers and SUVs such as the Jeep Compass, Toyota RAV4, and many other SUVs out there. Yeah, so with that being said, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below so that we interact, and then make sure to give this video a thumbs up. As always, until next time.